Hey there guys, I have reviewed this bike here, the 1200 G/S, and if you haven't seen it, go onto the YouTube and you can have a look. But I really wanted to, because I've ridden that, I really wanted to ride this 1300 here. And I've ridden both of them now, and I've ridden the 1300 plenty of times and had lots of experience on it. And then I realized that my long way home bike here is really kind of, that's where the GS kind of started. So in the mid 70s, BMW started to muck around with their, I think it was an R900 or 980. And they started mucking around off-road. Famously, in 1984 and 85, BMW entered the Dakar Rally at that point, and they won in 84. And it was a Belgian guy who he was an amazing rider, did an amazing job, beautiful looking bike. That was the 970 or 980, and then it went on to the 1150 engine, which Don Deacon rode, and he had the Gauloise bike, which is another beautiful bike. And those bikes that went through the Dakar Rally inspired this 1200, although it came through all of these ones. So that's got the old 1200 engine, which Ewan and I did down through Africa. Then there was a 1250, and now there's a 1300. And I'm actually reviewing this one today, so it's gone around and roundabouts. But it's nice to have all three, and it's nice to have ridden all three, spend a lot of time on that, spend a bit of time on that, spend a lot of time on one of these.
Woo, all right, back on a GS 1300. I spent a load of time on one of these when I was in Australia. I do a motorcycle tour every year in Australia from Melbourne to Sydney via Tasmania. It's a fantastic 10-day tour, really nice, really lovely. So if you ever fancy coming along, do come along. You know, this bike is fabulous. I've spent so much time on it. And you know, when they came out with the 1300, the new one, they've changed the front end. It's a different configuration, the way the forks work. It feels better. The subframe is a cast aluminium bar rather than tubular, so it gives you a slightly stiffer frame, which in turn with the new front end, it gives you a really nice feel to the bike. And I think, and I don't know what anybody else thinks, it gives me a better feel. Like I can feel the road a bit more. Do you see what I mean? And when you're pushing it and you're riding quite fast and you're kind of braking late and getting into the corners and really using that front end, you can really feel it. It's a really nice feeling, and I really like that.
So what do I think of the 1300? Well, it was a little bit like when I went with you, and when we did long way round, we had the 1150, then they went onto the 1200, which is a totally new bike. They didn't use anything from the 1150 to make the 1200, and then they did 1250, and then it's the same with this one. The 13s come out, and they pretty much use nothing of the 1250 and have completely changed it. And it is a really good bike. I think at the moment it's a little bit sort of, but like Marmite, either you love it or hate it. And I think it's one of those things a bit like the Range Rover. It's taken time to get used to that new shape when the big change came, and eventually people started to love it. And I think that's what will happen with the 1300. People are just starting thinking, oh, it's very different, it's completely different to what the others are like, but now they're sort of starting to like it. But this bike has a lot to say for itself.
I quite like the look. Some people do, some people don't. I think it's really nice. I like the way it's all laid out a little bit. I think the controls that you use are very good, they're intuitive. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on down there, as opposed to some of the other bikes have, you know, it's a little bit less busy. But having said that, you know, it all works. And when you do change the modes, that's when you really can decide whether or not a bike works. And when you put it through, you know, road, sport, rain, and all those, and you use all those different configurations, they really do work.
So the R75, 1973, it was kind of built as a sort of, it was their sort of sports tourer. You can do sort of almost 250 miles on that tank. It rides really well, as you would expect from a BMW. It's got that classic position. The one I've got, I've made the back end a little bit more kind of modern, a bit more retro. I think the back end, like a lot of 70s and 80s bikes, was always a little heavy in the back. But she rides really well. It's got a quirky key on the front, which everybody gets really surprised about. And it's a good bike, and when you get going, it rides really, really well. Not with these tires, I have to say. You don't want to use these tires. These are bad tires, but they look good. And I always say, fashion first, safety second. If you're skidding down the road, it might hurt, but at least you look good. Anyway, but I love this bike. I painted it orange because I love orange. That's a nice bike if you're going to tour around Europe. Beautiful. I think you'd really enjoy it. I'd get a better seat than that one.
And the great thing about all this electronics and stuff is that they really do work. And if you're not an experienced rider, it makes you a much safer rider. And if you're an experienced rider, it really does. You can really use it to your advantage. You can take advantage of what it offers. It's a good bike if you were going to go off and do a long journey. It is still the benchmark for bikes. It really is still the benchmark. It's really nice. I like the quick shifter. Got a list of things. The windscreen you can go to. There we go. And now the windscreen. See how it goes all the way down. Lovely. So if you're a bit of off-road and you want a bit of rally or something, you want to be able to see where you're going, then that's good. And then when you're on the motorway, you can hit the high button and up the screen comes. And it really does. I can now feel that the wind is much less on my face.
The construction of the frame, and the way the frame is bolted onto the engine, and how the front end is bolted onto the engine as well. So instead of using tubular on the main frame, they've used a cast aluminium frame, which you can see there, and that's made the bike feel much stiffer. They've changed the front end as well. So on GS's, and I don't know if all of you know this, but because of the Telemark suspension system that they have, the front forks, when they go up and down, not only do they go up and down, but they pivot like that as well. And on the 1250, the pivot points were on the top of the front forks. On this one, they've changed that, and the pivot point is in the middle of the top yoke and on the handlebars in between the two. So it pivots here, not here. That makes sense. Which allows them to use much bigger front forks, which gives you a much more connection to the tarmac and to the road. I would say one of the things that the 1250 negative things, which is there's not many of them, is that when you're really pushing it, the front end will suddenly go, and often there's not a feeling. With this bike, you have much more feeling on the front end, so it gives you an indication of when the front end's about to go in the dirt or if you're really pushing it on the road. But that's the extreme.
And the cruise control I really love. So look, I can set the cruise control here. I can set it at 37 miles an hour. Now I can set the speed. So I can set the distance. So I want to go faster. Go to 41 miles an hour. And then here I can have, if you look here, you see the green bit here. This tells me what distance I can do to this car here in front of me. So if I go a bit faster there, so now I can change the distance and make it closer, and then the bike will come. Look, it'll get a little closer to the car in front, and it'll just stay there. And then if the car slows down in front, then I slow down. Isn't that clever? And then it's got a detection on the back as well. So if someone's coming up behind you, it'll let you know. Some of them have a little light on the windscreen, on the mirror here, to say if there's someone in your blind spot. That's something to think about as an extra. And the little SOS button, so if you fall over, someone will call you and ask you if you're okay. You see how it's slowing down? And then now they're slowing down a bit more. You ask, do you really need it? A variable speed cruise control? Well, I think you do. I mean, I think what's really nice is when you're on a long journey on the motorway and stuff like that, you're just going a long distance, you know, to be able to set that cruise control, and then you can just give your hands and everything a bit of a rest, and you can ride for a lot longer with much less stress. You know, it's the same in a car. You know, if you've got variable speed cruise control, I've got a Volkswagen Transporter that Leighton Vans did up for me, really nice. You can actually see that YouTube on my YouTube channel. You can see that movie, but that's got variable speed control. When you're doing long journeys, riding up to Scotland or driving up to Scotland or riding up to Scotland, it's just brilliant. It's kind of a bit like Ron Seal. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and it does it all really well. I think this bike is fantastic.
Then going on to the 1200, that bike is brand new for BMW. I think it's a really important bike for them. It's sort of to sit in there with the Ducati Desert X, which is a 900. That's kind of stripped down, very simple. They've taken all the plastics, everything's off. It's just that kind of retro look bike, which I think everyone's liking. The Yamaha Tenere, I suppose, it's competing against. It sort of competes against the GS and the Africa Twin and maybe the Triumph Tiger, or maybe the Triumph Tiger 900 it's competing against. They've done something very clever with it. It's super aggressive, super fun to ride. Naked, so I'm not sure if you'd like to be on a big journey on it. That 1200 engine, which people absolutely love. It's got that traditional front end, which is really nice. And at high speed, it doesn't feel too buffety either without the protection. But all the manufacturers like Touratech and other ones have got loads of extras for it already. So I think they know it's going to be a good one. The technology of this one is pretty damn good. The electronics, everything, the way everything works is very intuitive, very easy to use. It feels comfortable. It has that fantastic boxer engine grunt, that bottom of the rev range. It just, from any gear you're in, you can be in practically 1,000 revs and it'll just pull you along. You can, if you're on a private road, you can pop third gear wheelies in this, stand-up wheelies. You can go along forever. Really nice, very comfortable bike. This one is more of a road version, so it's got the cast iron rims. It's got all this triple black version, which is very popular. People love it, which means the engine's black, the frame's black, and everything else is more or less black. Whereas this one has lots of goldy bits on it and different kinds of suspension. But and they're totally different as well. You can see between this one, the R75, this 1200, and then this one. So the front end of this one has the Telemart system that I was talking about earlier. This one just has a traditional front forks. And so this one just has traditional front forks as well. So the characteristics are all very different.
You know, the other side of it is whether or not it's your style of bike, you know, with the new look of it. You know, it's certainly divided. Oh, pops wheelies. Ooh, I like it. And you know what's lovely about this engine? It's got that boxer engine. It's got that low down grunt. It really does shift if you want it to. Bloody nice bike. And then when you come through in the little change down on the quick shifter, you get that nice feeling through the front wheel. It's really nice. I love it. Woof. Coming up towards this one here, downshifter gear, overtake, nice and quick. Yeah, lovely feeling through the gears, and just that boxer engine, it's just wonderful. And it has an added bonus of protecting your legs a little bit with the pods sticking out like they do. I sometimes wonder in my crash, if I'd been on a GS, whether or not my legs would have been crashed or not. I just don't know. Can't think like that, really. Can't change the past. But motorcycling does make you live in the present. Look at that. Beautiful view over Newlands Corner. Wow. It's lovely.
The GS 1300R is really what kind of is the pinnacle of that adventure category. Everybody wants to be them. And interestingly, all the manufacturers, Ducati, Triumph, everybody, they're all getting closer and closer and closer to the 1300, and that's why this one's become so important for them to release it, having released the 1200, then updated the 12 to 1250, and now the new 13. But it rides really well. For me, I get a better feeling, a better experience from the road through the bike into the rider. I think because it has a more rigid frame, they've completely reworked the front end and made it much more responsive. It has much better feel to it. And when you're pushing it on the racetrack or pushing it into corners, you have a little bit more confidence on the front, and with that stiffer frame. I think it has that chalk and cheese, kind of that Marmite look. People do or don't like it, but that you would jump on and ride around the world, and you'd love it. And this one's the road version. I like it, it's got all the gadgets, the right stuff. Yeah, it's a good bike.
Nice balance too. And these bikes are really good because there's so much weight down the bottom, and they've made the petrol tanks as low as possible as well. The old 1150 GS Adventure, they had a big tank that just sat on the top like that, and it was big and heavy, and when you were going through traffic with a full tank, it was just terrifying. You'd come up to a traffic lights, and I remember coming up to traffic lights on my old 1150, the one that you and I took around the world, and there was a little old classic Mini beside me, and I was terrified I was going to drop the bike and crush the Mini. But anyway, but there we go. You want to ride this bike, you take it for a test ride if you've not had one, and then give it a go. I think you'll like it.
And this one, of course, is just full of electronics. It's got radar on the front, radar on the back, adaptive cruise control. It helps you if there's a car stopped in front of you. It will help assist and give you alarms to tell you to brake. They call that now in the automotive industry, they call it the safety package now, and more cars and more bikes will have this as standard, you know, having radar, and it really does help. I have 100% with the radar on the bike and in cars have definitely helped save me. But I love this, you know, any of these bikes. As you know, I did Long Way Home on this one, spent all the way through big loop of Europe, loved that. This one is just more of a bit of a hooligan's bike. I would say this is more 50-50 off-road. If you had the rally version of the 1300, I would say, you know, 60-40 road, as in 60 road, 40 off. This definitely much more 50-50. You put that in rally pro mode and you can be going along and you open it up in third and the back wheel will just spin out and leave darkies all the way down the road. Very nice. But all of them are just damn gorgeous. And if I had enough room and enough money, I'd have them all. Would I have one in my stable of this? Definitely. Would I have one in my stable of this? Definitely. I've got that one. But how does it compare? Where does it fit with all the others? The 1300, it's the best seller as an adventure bike. They brought it out there. I think they're still top of the pile, but I do think Ducati and Triumph and Yamaha and all the others are you know, getting closer and closer and closer. So that bit at the top there is getting more and more congested. But you're talking nuances. This is a big change for BMW. You know, it's like MotoGP. Next year's a big change. Formula One next year's a massive change. You know, from the ground up, that's changed. From the ground up, the 1200 changed. What the next version of this will be, I don't know. I reckon there'll be a 1350, 1390, something that will come out, I reckon. Do you need more horsepower? Absolutely. Yeah, even if you don't know how to use it, it's still great to have. Like American muscle cars, you know, you get big V8, you know, don't need it, but want it. I love it. Riding motorbikes. That's kind of what it's all about, really. So anyway, so listen, if you found that interesting, go and have a look at the 1200 and some of the other stuff that I do on YouTube. I just love riding these bikes and chatting about and talking about bikes. Anyway, hope you enjoy.